Hey everybody, Ryan F. MTG here, and Adventures of a Tiny Hero just came out a couple days ago, so that means it's the perfect time to start my set review. I've done this for the past couple sets now, so basically each video I will talk about all the cards from one color and give my first thoughts of how good or bad I think those cards are. And yet again, a caveat before we jump in to all the red cards is these are, one, my first impressions, and two, just my impressions and my thoughts, right? I just kind of want to start brainstorming, thinking how good or bad cards are, and you might disagree with a lot of what I say or agree with a lot of what I say, and that's just fine, right? Everyone will have different opinions, especially when we're talking about new cards. But I like to kind of just record these videos because it makes me start to really critically think about stuff of just where the meta might be and what might look fun to start brewing with. So that's enough about that. Let's jump into the red cards. Up first, we will be talking about the legendaries. I'll go with the units first, then the actions. And so we're starting with the red legendaries. Up first is Dreadqueen. It's 5 MP for a 2/7, it's a monster, and it has Rush, and when attacking, all other units take 1 damage every 5 seconds. This card seems really cool to me. Right, so there'll be monster synergies. A 5 MP for a 2/7, like, that's a pretty big body, but for 5 MP, that's not fantastic. It's not terrible, but it's not fantastic. However, it has Rush. And the attacking, so that means as soon as you play this, the attacking trigger will trigger pretty darn quick because it has Rush, and all other units taking 1 damage every 5 seconds is pretty big. To be fair, it is a double-edged sword because all your units will get that effect as well, right? So it throws it on the enemy units, but it also throws it on your units. So there is plus and minuses, but overall, I think Dreadqueen will be really good, especially if you play this when you don't have any units and your opponent has units. That will just be great because it will just keep on pinging that unit until it eventually dies after 5, 10, 15 seconds because 1 damage adds up quite a bit. So overall, I like Dreadqueen. Determine Hunter Lady, 5 MP for 2/7 human. When played, if an enemy demon unit is on the field, gain +2/+2. When a friendly human unit is placed on the field, deal 4 pierce damage to a random enemy unit. This card I think is very, very good. No surprise, it's a legendary. However, I think this is really good. The stats, kind of like Dreadqueen, the stats are not completely fantastic. However, I do really like that it has 7 HP, because 7 HP means that this will stay on the board quite a bit, and you really want Hunter Lady to stay on the board so you could get more of the ETB, enter the battlefield effects of other humans so that she could throw the 4 pierce damage around. Yes, the +2/+2 would be awesome to get, right? But it's kind of icing on the cake because that's not up to you. Because maybe you're just playing against a lot of opponents that aren't playing any demons in their deck. Or maybe you are playing against demons and then you get the +2/+2 and then this is a 4/9 for 5 MP and then that's fantastic. However, that's not really up to you. But base level, this is kind of a human build around card. Yes, it's a legendary so you can only have one of, but the build around potential is so good where I want to make a human, ETB deal damage and just be able to throw 4 pierce damage around willy-nilly seems very fantastic. Sheva is 3 MP for a 3/3 human. When placed on the field, if a friendly human unit with MP cost 5 or more is on the field, deal 4 damage split among enemy units. Let's just talk about that. That's actually pretty good, right? 3 MP for a 3/3, those are pretty decent stats. Dealing 4 ETB damage is really good for 3 MP. That's usually what you get for 4 MP or a little bit more. However, the what you have to achieve is kind of a little narrow because it's not just a different human. It's a human of MP cost 5 or more. So obviously, Hunter Lady or the Old Lady or something like that, the Corset Lady or Ryu, stuff like that will trigger this. But if you just have another one of her or, a 3 or 4 MP human, it won't trigger. So the trigger is a little narrow. However, if you can build your deck around it where you will be able to trigger this way more than 50% of the time, right? You need to be able to trigger this way more than 50% of the time to have this card actually be worth playing. Because if you're not getting the trigger way over 50% of the time, this card is far from worth it because then you just have a 3 MP 3/3 and that is definitely not worth it. But if you can trigger this, 75, 80, 90%, then definitely those stats and the 5 MP trigger is worth it. And also, sometimes it's just you want a whole bunch of humans, so this just kind of fits into the strategy. So overall, I think this card is good as long as you can trigger it, 75% of the time. QB is 5 MP for a 3/2 demon with flight, and it also has when played, deal damage to a random enemy unit equal to the number of times actions used in this battle. Overall, I think this card is pretty good. 5 MP for a 3/2 with flight is not good, right? Those are not fantastic stats. However, all you need to do is do actions, right? It's just like the memory mechanic, and as we know, that can get very broken very fast. However, this is not split among enemy units. It only does deal it to one enemy unit, so it's not like you can't live in a magical dreamland where you're dealing, 4 damage to each of the 3 enemy units or something like that. It would only target one of the units. So overall, I think this is really, really good, but you definitely have to be playing quite a lot of actions, and as we've seen, that's pretty easy just to fit in. So I could definitely see QB seeing a lot of play. A Contour is 6 MP, 2/7 for a monster. It also has the text of after taking damage and surviving, deal 2 damage to all units. That's a really big effect, but yet again, it's a double-edged sword because it does deal damage to your units also. A 6 MP, 2/7, yet again, is not great stats, but it does have 7 HP, so therefore it will be able to take a couple hits and just throw, mini spikes all around the board, especially if you can pump up the HP and just make this a bigger, beefier unit. Then this card seems really, really good. Unfortunately, maybe your opponent can just kind of play around it and you play this on the bottom lane and then they don't play anything in the bottom lane for a while. And yes, this does poke in for 2, but that's not the most attack. So overall, I find this card, I don't know, it has potential. I'm just not really thinking of its best case scenario. I'm thinking of its average case scenario. On average, I think this won't do as much as I want for a 6 MP card. Flame is 4 MP for a 1/7 machine with combo, and it says when on the field, all friendly machine units gain attacking deal 1 damage to a random enemy unit. I like this card, especially in a machine tribe deck, and there's a lot of machines in red, so you could just be mono red machines. Yes, it has combo, which is really nice. Combo is a great way to kill other units or deal more attacking damage, but it's only a 1/7. So if you can plus the attack, maybe like do Blazing Wall with this or something like that, then that combo this could hit for a lot. What's nice, it does have 7, and since it has that static ability to just the Anthem, not really an Anthem effect, but giving the static ability of attacking deal 1 damage to a random enemy unit to all your machines, having it be 7 HP is really nice because this will stick on the board. So I really think Flame is one of the reasons to do a machine-centric deck. So overall, I like this card. BB Hood is 4 MP for a 1/8 human with agility. I like agility a lot. I think this is a very powerful keyword. And it also says when a friendly human unit is placed on the field, it gains +1 attack, which is awesome because you want to get her attack up because she has agility, so she's hitting a lot quicker and faster and more repeatedly, so pumping up that attack is so important. And the stats for 4 MP is pretty darn good. Like, 1 is not a lot of attack, but she is her own pump spell, right? Other humans will just pump her up. So as long as you are playing other humans and get to pump her up a little bit, that's awesome because she has 8 HP. There's a lot of heavy HP units so far in red, and 8 is a pretty good healthy life total for a 4 MP unit. So if you are playing a human tribe deck, BB Hood seems really good, right? She could just kind of grow with it. She's not super impactful, right? It's not like she's dealing damage to enemy units. So you could play this and then your opponent kills it and you kind of feel like you might have wasted 4 MP. But since she does have 8 HP, I don't see that all the time happening. So overall, I think BB Hood has potential. Banbaro is 4 MP for a 4/3 monster. It says when played, deal 2 damage to all other friendly monster units and give them +4 HP. Let's first look at the stats. 4 MP for a 4/3, that's a lot of attack, but very fragile with just 3 HP, so overall I'm not a big fan of the stats. And the when played ability, I think it's cool because it pumps up your monsters. However, they have to survive 2 damage in order to get 4 HP, so that is like a hoop to jump through. Also, they have to survive 2 damage to get 4 HP, therefore you're really only getting plus 2 HP, more or less. So overall, I don't think that that is really good. If this just said, give all your other friendly monster units plus 2 HP, I would be a little bit more higher on this card. But as it is with like, oh, you have to hurt them first, then they get the HP, it just seems like too many hoops to jump through for not enough payoff, and the body just a little bit weak. So overall, I'm kind of off this card. Kangala is 4 MP for a 2/7 monster. It says, after taking damage and surviving, deal 1 damage to the unit in front. 4 MP for a 2/7, yet again, not a ton of attack, but quite a lot of HP, which is kind of nice because you want this monster to get hit, survive that damage, so it's pinning the unit in front of it for 1 damage. I think this is a fine card. I think it is pretty decent, but overall, I don't think I really like it because yet again, your opponent could just kind of leave this in a lane, take two damage every attack cycle for a while, and then just kind of kill it. And also just after it takes damage, it only deals 1 damage, and it's only to the unit in front, so it seems a little bit too narrow, and it doesn't seem all that powerful. Chill Penguin, he's back. Man, this machine just is everywhere nowadays, which I'm okay with it. Chill Penguin's pretty cool. It's 4 MP for a 2/3 machine. While on the field, it says -1 battle damage taken by all friendly machine units. This is a really good effect. We've already saw how Flame was kind of like pumping up your team. If Chill Penguin is on it, it's making all your machines almost have plus 1 HP every time, right? So that's a really good effect. I like it a lot. The stats are a little bit mediocre for 4 MP for sure, right? Like, it's a 2/3, that's not a ton of attack, and that's actually pretty fragile, right? We've been seeing a lot of other red units with a lot of HP. 3 HP is pretty weak. However, this helps itself, right? Because it gives itself the -1 damage taken. So this can stick around for a little bit longer than maybe a normal 3 HP unit. So overall, I like Chill Penguin. Not super flashy or anything, but definitely could be a player in a machine-centric deck. Blade is 3 MP for a 2/3 demon with growth 3. It only has a level 2, and it says place a blade onto the field. I think this is kind of cool because it can be kind of an army in a can of you play a blade, then you get the growth, you get a blade, and then that other blade could kind of trigger. However, yes, growth 3 is very small, but really you need 6 growth points to get that other blade. And a 3 MP 2/3 is, with no effects ETB or something like that, is not that great by any means of the imagination. It's pretty bad. So overall, I think this is kind of a cool concept of like just blades kind of growing and then growing and then growing. But you also only have 3 lanes, so sometimes you might be lane locked when you trigger the growth level 2, so then you don't get the blade. And overall, just getting another 2/3 body does not seem anything that I want to jump through hoops or kind of play around. So blade is a pass for me. Fury is 4 MP for a 4/2 demon with Rush, and it says Death Explore for Agility. This is a pretty cool card because 4/2 is super, like, that attack is pretty good, especially with Rush, where you just play this empty lane, it smacks the opponent for 4 right away, but it's probably not going to smack the opponent for 4 again because it just does have 2 HP. But that's kind of okay, because when it does die, hopefully it trades with a unit or deals 4 to a unit. You explore for agility, and agility is a very good action to explore for. So overall, I like Fury quite a bit. Josh Stone is 3 MP for a 2/4 human, and it says, when played, if another friendly human unit is on the field, deal 2 damage to a random enemy unit. This is very similar to Axel, right? They both are 3 MP for a 2/4. Yes, one's a machine, one's a human. And Axel does 1 damage just all the time when it enters the battlefield, where Josh would do 0 if this is your first unit played, or 2. So in the best case scenario, this is doing 1 more damage than Axel, but the worst case scenario, this is just a 3 MP 2/4. So overall, that's not fantastic. However, it's not that hard to trigger Josh. If you're playing all humans in your deck, this doesn't care about what type of human it is, as long as it's a human. So it could be, a 3 MP unit or a 5 MP human, as long as it's a human. So overall, I think if there is a good human deck with a good curve of units, this can definitely play into that deck. Frost is 5 MP, 3/5 demon with Ascend. Place a Frost onto the field. So this is almost kind of like Blade, where it's just like a unit that brings another friendly unit. However, I like Frost more because 5 MP for a 3/5. 3/5 is more substantial, right? Those stats are a lot better. This will actually do more in combat and deal more damage. However, 5 MP is kind of a lot for this type of effect, but the Ascend, if you ascend over, a unit that's pretty weak, so it's almost about to die anyways, you are almost spending 5 MP for 2 3/5s, and that's pretty decent. Yet again, not super flashy, as well as it's a demon. So Red cares a lot about machines and humans, as we've seen, not really demons. So this isn't super powerful or super flashy. It just seems pretty darn good, actually. But with no tribe synergies, I don't really see playing it. Even though it's not a bad card, I just don't see playing it. Rate is 3 MP for 1/7 monster. It says, after taking damage and surviving, gain +1 attack. I kind of like this card because it's just 3 MP, so that's like the cheapest unit you can have. For a 1/7, that's actually a lot of stats. 1 is, not a lot of attack, but 7 HP is a lot of stats just for 3 MP. As well as it wants to take damage, right? So after taking damage and surviving, you pump it up. So that's pretty good. And also with the previous monster that, said deal 2 damage and then, get all your monsters +4 HP. If you're playing a lot of greats and that, I can now see why maybe you would want to play that card. Even if you're not playing that card, great seems pretty good. So with that previous card that I was a little down on, maybe that goes a little bit up because great is pretty good and I kind of want to see playing this and working with it. Velvedon is 3 MP for a 2/2 monster. It's a 1 play, deal 1 damage to all other units. That's fantastic because 1 damage is not a lot, and that just basically says deal 1 damage to great and give him +1 attack, and that seems fantastic. It also says Ascend, gain +5 HP, which is ridiculous. This would become a 2/7, which is so much stats for a 3/3. So overall, now we're kind of seeing a couple more monster themes in Red that I wasn't really seeing in the first couple. Overall, I like this card a lot, and this is making me more want to just throw all the monsters together. The last red unit is Cannon Driver. It's 3 MP for a 2/5 machine. It says, while on the field, all friendly machine units gain anti-air. So let's first look at the stats. 3 MP for a 2/5 is actually pretty darn good for 3 MP. Like 2/5 is pretty powerful because Axel and stuff like that is a 2/4. So just +1 HP is quite good, right? However, it doesn't have an ETB effect or anything like that. And it is good because if you are playing a machine tribe deck, it is giving your other machines a ability, but that ability is anti-air, which can be great in some matchups, but also can be completely useless in other matchups. So overall, I think this is maybe a metagame call, right? If there's a lot more flight units and decks with a lot of flight units, you might want this card, and then this card is fantastic. But if there's not tons of flight units or it's very hit or miss, this card is still not bad, right? If you just want more machines because you are playing better machines that will pump Cannon Driver up, well then this is a pretty good card because it's just 3 MP for pretty decent base level stats. So overall, not very flashy, but can definitely be a curve filler. The first red action is Trump Card. This is the legendary, so it should be flashy and powerful. It is 1 MP, remove your entire deck from the game. You gain +7 MP. The downside is you have to remove all the cards from your deck from the game. That's a big downside, right? Because once that happens, you're never drawing another card, so you more or less have to win the game with the cards already in your hand and EX pocket, which might be tough. However, you are gaining 7 MP, as well as this action only costs 1 MP. So let's just say you play this, just normally, not in response to your opponent doing anything. So you spend 1 MP to gain 7 MP. That means you're netting 6 MP. You can only have 10 MP. So that's 60% of that MP gauge, and you have 7 MP, so you already are at that 7 MP mark. That's a lot of MP. You can play this and then play like Rathalos or something like that. So the downside is very real, but as long as you have some high cost cards to play, or even then, like, you could just play, 3-drop, 3-drop, wait a little bit, play another 3-drop, and then just have a board full of 3-drops that could maybe win the game in and of itself, or just one bomb Rathalos or something like that. So I actually think this card it's hard to evaluate, but right now I think this card has tons of potentials. Maybe the downside is too real, but as long as it's a legendary, so you only have one of. And then if you draw it early or mid-game, well, you just don't play it. And then if the game goes long, then this is kind of the trump card, right? In a lot of grindy matchups, this could just be the trump card, because like towards the end, when maybe you only have a couple more cards in your library, you play this card, then just play your Rathalos and win the game. So overall, definitely hoops to jump through, and a lot of times this will be dead in your hand, but definitely the plus is so potential filled. Furious Salvo is 2 MP. It says deal 2 damage split among enemy units. If a friendly unit with Rush is on the field, deal 5 damage split among enemy units instead. So this is pretty similar to Spread Shot, right? Spread Shot was 2 MP and it just said deal 3 damage split among enemy units. So if you do not have a friendly unit with Rush on the field, this will deal 1 less damage than Spread Shot is, which makes it strictly worse. However, if you do get the gravy of having a unit with Rush on the field, it deals 5 damage, which is 2 more than Spread Shot, which is a ton. So if you can trigger the Rush effect more, so 2 MP deal 5 damage split among enemy units, this card is fantastic, right? Just fantastic. However, in my mind, you have to be able to trigger that more times than not, right? Over 50% of the times. Because if 50% of the time, this is just a weak... maybe if it's 50% of the time. Because if 50% of the time, this is just a slightly worse version of Spread Shot, but 50% of the time, this is, 2 damage more Spread Shot, then that seems good. However, you have to keep in mind that it is Rush. Rush is not necessarily a tribe, so it could be a little bit harder to make a Rush tribe. But if you can, this is a really powerful card. Unexpected Assault is 4 MP. Give a unit in your deck with MP cost 3 or less Rush and place it onto the field. And ooh, Memory's back. Teppen was like, man, I heard everyone loved Memory, that it was a fair and balanced mechanic. Let's bring it back. Hopefully we don't see a lot of Memory in this set. So far we haven't, which is very good because Memory is dubious, and we'll leave it at that. But Memory 4, give that unit additional +1 attack and heavy pierce. Overall, this is a lot of effects, right? It is 4 MP, and you are only getting a 3 MP unit. However, you're giving it Rush, and then if you have Memory 4, which Memory 4 is not that hard to get, you're giving it +1 attack and heavy pierce. So that is a lot of effects and stats and power for 4 MP. However, I think this is a build-around card, right? I don't think this card is just going to go into tons of decks. However, if you are playing a lot of good, solid 3 MP units and not just curve fillers, this card then becomes very good and you will want to play it because you're tutoring up the 3 MP cost units that you really like, that are really powerful. You give it Rush and more, so then that's fantastic. Riding the Giant Weapon is 2 MP. Give a friendly unit +3 HP. If a friendly unit with 4 or more attack is on the field, give an additional +1/+1. Overall, I think this is a pretty interesting card, especially that it's just 2 MP. I think 2 MP actions have tons of potential because that is so cheap and is free in active response phase. Also, my first thought is this can fit the monster red tribe that we kind of started to see towards the end of the red cards, because a lot of those want to take damage and then, do a effect like, deal damage or get +1 attack, and giving those units +3 HP means that they can just take more damage, become more powerful, stuff like that. Also, monsters tend to have a lot of attack, so depending on your deck, you can kind of trigger that, because it is just 4 attack to trigger that +1/+1. So if you can trigger that, getting +3 HP and +1/+1 just for 2 MP is very, very good. So I think this has a ton of potential in a monster-centric deck. Wild Woman's Weapon is 3 MP with a cute feline really struggling hard and trying its best to lift Lady's heavy weapon. It says deal 6 damage to a random enemy unit. This card is pretty good. 3 MP, deal 6 damage is so good. However, the downside is it is random, and sometimes random stuff can really feel bad. However, 3 MP, deal 6 damage, I think that gap of value is so good that I will play with this random factor, because yes, it is a downside, but it's still dealing 6 damage just for 3 MP, so this card is very good. Head Chopper is 4 MP with a scared little feline about to get slashed hard. It says deal 6 damage to an enemy unit. Any unit destroyed by this damage is removed from the game. This will not trigger death ability. So kind of like Barricade, I believe, from the previous set. 4 MP to deal 6 damage is not as good a value as 3 MP to deal 6 damage. However, it's not random. You do get to target, so that is very, very good. As well as then extra gravy is no death triggers, right? So like tyrants, stuff like that want to die, deal death triggers, or explore triggers or something, you kind of mitigate this. So it is a very powerful card, but 4 MP is getting a little high, right? 1, 2, 3 MP actions are fantastic. 4 MP, you want a lot of bang for your buck. I do think this is providing a lot, so I could easily see playing with a couple of these. I don't know if it will be a playset because it is still a 4 MP action. Coordinated Fire is 3 MP. It deals 3 damage to an enemy unit. If a friendly human unit is on the field, deal additional 2 damage. This card's very good. Right? There's no random factor. You get to choose what unit you want to deal the damage to, as well as, yes, if you are not playing a human tribe deck, this is not really worth it, because 3 MP for 3 damage is not a rate you really want to be playing, but for 3 MP for 5 damage, that's a rate I want to be playing. So in a human tribe deck, I think this is a very good card. In a non-human deck, you're not really going to play it. The last red action, and the last red card for that matter, is Conga Power. It's 1 MP. Give a random monster unit in your hand or EX pocket +1 attack and rush. I like this card a lot because it's 1 MP action, which is very, very good. And as we saw, red had quite a few monsters that were like 3 MP or 4 MP with 1 attack. So you do that, which now it becomes, a 2/7 for 3 MP with Rush. That seems very, very good, and especially just for 1 MP. So obviously you have to be playing monsters for this because it doesn't do anything in non-monster decks. But I think this is a very easy slot, even maybe if it's not 3. But I do think this is very powerful, pretty free and cheap to play. And with a pretty good, because it's not just +1 attack, which is very good in and of itself. It's with Rush. That is very good overall. Overall, those are all the red cards. Red got some very interesting cards, to say the least. And, we saw the tribes of Machine and Human, and those were, like, what I thought red was going to be about. But towards the end of the units, there was a lot more monsters. And then we definitely saw, some monster-centric action cards. So, humans, monsters, machines kind of all got some love with red cards, and I think there's a lot of hope to have all 3 of those decks be pretty good. Obviously, there's going to be some that are better and worse, but overall, red looks like, red's always a pretty powerful, value-centric color in Teppen, and it still seems like it's value-centric, and it definitely has some bombs, good curve fillers, and efficient removal. Just exactly what you expect from red. So I'm excited to keep this train going and looking at the green cards next. My plan is to do 1 color each and every day. Hopefully I can achieve that, and hopefully you all liked this video, and I'll see you all next time.